Have you ever wondered what superheroes do on their free time? How about what they do for money? We know the big names of the Justice League usually are taking care of their billionaire playboys like Green Arrow, Batman, but what about the average vigilante? What about our B-list superheroes? We don't see them in the lineups on a weekly basis. So what are they doing? Well, you're in luck, because let me introduce you to Heroes for You. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the basement for another episode of the Catch Up here on the Nerdy Basement channel. I'm your host, this is Eddie, and welcome because this is going to be a fun episode. This time on the Catch Up, I caught up on an awesome 6-issue miniseries by Mark Russell, illustrated by Steve Lieber, and cover artist Steve Pugh. This is called the One-Star Squadron. Guys, this mini is phenomenal. All right, this is one of those really out of nowhere type of context. It doesn't need any continuity or anything, but it does help to know a little bit about the characters. I will tell you right now, a lot of them you don't know, and a lot of them you will know, because we're following heroes like Red Tornado. We know he's a big name for the most part, depending on where you're really reading or watching him from. We have Power Girl in the mix and everything. The Kara, Kara Danvers technically, but Kara Zor-El really from a different universe. And she dubs herself as Power Girl from this point on because she's not going to be the only Supergirl around, right? We have Minuteman. He's a very an older character, but he's actually pretty well known because he's like one of the first ones. Like if you ever looked up like some of the old school stuff and everything, he is an actual guy. We have the Heckler, which very obscure. I had to look him up. He's around. He does things. He's literally what you would called the heckler because this is what he does. He heckles you. And we have GI Robot. This one I didn't do much research on, but he's one of the characters in here, and it works out very well because his dry robot humor is what kind of gives this series something else and something new to look forward to. So like I was saying in the intro, what happens to these guys when they're not in the lineup for the Justice League every week? They're not getting the big calls to help with the next big event or anything of the sort. They need to eat, right? For the most part, yes. Red Tornado is, technically he's half and half. He's like, what's the best way to put it? He's kind of like a cyborg, the best way to put it, because, he has emotions. He does eat, but he also is part robot. So hence the powers and everything, right? But long story short, these guys will go to no ends to make sure they can take care of themselves and their families. So fun things like, these guys are going to meet and greets. They're doing security work for whoever needs it, big names or even small names. They're doing Comic-Con appearances and even birthday parties just to make a buck. So it's actually hilarious because it's like, no one really thought about that for a while. These guys are not in your weekly pool, right? Because it's like, why? Unless they have a reason to be around, maybe they might make a cameo in Superman's issues, more or less even just making it in a team book like the Terrifics or something like that, but they're never really a star. Maybe Red Tornado and Power Girl had a couple of issues here and there, but for the most part, not everybody is really, literally lining up to, get a piece of these guys, right? So this 6 issues really, one for one, actually even gives you a little bit of the hate of corporate America, but, obviously everybody's got to eat. So like I was saying, we are going into the lives of the Heroes for You. This company is meant for the superheroes that don't have enough, popularity to get onto the Justice League roster and, or just didn't get called up in general, and, just to help them get by. this is a sponsored, like endeavor by the Justice League as well. They have the endorsement for them. They love knowing that their heroes are still able to be heroes and still feed themselves and their families. Right, so Red Tornado is manager in this in this company. He's been running it for so many years already, and it's one of those things that you could tell that he's been doing this so long. He's seen it all, and he's just a fed up manager, but he's still trying to be the hero that he's always been. We're introduced to some other older names for this run. I believe he is an actual character in the DC universe, but at least now he is because of this series. His name is Gangbuster. For a quick little bit about him, he was a vigilante back in like the 70s. He kind of like a wildcat because he was really good at boxing, able to take a hit, but eventually his luck ran out when some of the mob actually ended up attacking him and everything, beating him half to death, and unfortunately he ended up pretty much a vegetable for the most part. Major PTSD, memory loss, and it's just a very, very sad story for him and all that. But we have Red Tornado to thank for at least giving him a chance of some normalcy, because this dude was in the loony bin for a while, and then they just kind of kicked him off to to the Heroes for You, because they were like, you know what, we can't deal with this guy anymore. But I'm jumping a little ahead there. We got to talk about a few other little people here. We have Power Girl. Power Girl, she is not the same hero that we know and love, right? She is now beaten down to the point of, I did my superhero stuff, I was saving the day as much as I can, but it never amounted to anything because of the fact that money rules this world. And she says it from a whole point of, well, if I'm going to save everyone, I need to be using the same powers that they have, and money is that superpower. Because she's talking about the Lex Luthors. He has like Lex Flicks. He has Lexor Coffee, and he has it all. Like Lex Luthor has a brand for everything that we know, like anything else, like any type of little brand, like streaming service to major motor vehicles and all that. And of course, hilariously, she's reading, like, her Bible at this point is literally a Maxwell Lord book, which, hello, if you guys know Maxwell Lord, he is certified supervillain. And it's actually hilarious because it's a self-help book and everything, and telling people, hey, this is when you need to start really taking what you want and all that kind of stuff. So it's actually really hilarious. But unfortunately, again, this is Power Girl trying to better herself, and it's kind of sucky. I feel bad. It's really something else, right? And then we have Minuteman. Minuteman is exactly what it sounds like, right? He takes the pills, the Miraculo, right? The same type of like drug that if you guys remember, like Our Man and a few other like characters and everything in the past, they've used this pill that gives them superpowers for at least a minute. Our Man gets his for the hour because he did his like a little differently with like science and all that fun stuff. But Minuteman, he was given this pill during the war to help during the last war that they fought, right? And unfortunately, yeah, obviously he's not popular anymore. So he's kind of fallen in hard times. He's trying, he was really high in Heroes for You. People were always trying to like book him and all that kind of stuff. But eventually, his own ego, and unfortunately, he's fighting addiction at this moment, because these pills are the only thing that make him worth something, and he's not getting those pills on a regular basis because now even the government has cut him off because they're like, well, you're not doing anything with it. So it's really a crazy story for 6 issues. Again, like I said, that we have Mark Russell like really crafting this beautiful story, because like it's sad, funny, and something that we all deal with like in life. We've all seen this before, and it's really something. So going into it, right, Power Girl is trying to get literally a power grab. She's ready to try to become manager and all that kind of stuff, because that's her next goal right now. She's going as far as literally, like kind of like going around to the upper management to talk about Red Tornado's performance, not doing well, and all that kind of stuff. Especially now that he's trying to help Gangbuster get on his feet, because again, like it's so sad with Gangbuster. Going back to that too, it's like even his own family could not feel like they could take him back in, and it's so sad. It's like he actually sees his ex-wife, I'm assuming, or at one point still is probably his wife, and she lies to Red Tornado saying, I don't know this person, and so on. He can't recognize her, Gangbuster, because he's still fighting his own amnesia and memory loss. And then we see her crying with pictures of him all over the place because doesn't see the same man that he used to be. And it's such a sad thing because we hear these stories as well in real life that like when there's a mental health illness and everything, it's hard for the families to really cope with that and actually take care of their families that are doing that. And it's just heartbreaking. But then back to some of the funny, then we even have little moments like this. Red Tornado leaves their card and he's it's funny, heroes for you, manager, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, light rescue work, because he doesn't really get out there as much. He needs to run the office. And then of course, like fun things like this, they even have like their in like recruitment videos and all that kind of stuff. It's great. I can't like it's hilarious. Like I said, it's like these are the moments he sprinkles in again, because then it's like we're trying to remember, hey, this is still a company, this is a business, but at the same time we're getting that real wholesome storytelling, right? We're there. These are heroes trying to still be heroes. So with Power Girl trying to do the money grab and like the power grab in general, we also still have all these other heroes trying to make ends meet. They're doing everything from telemarketing, trying to book stuff, get people on the app and everything like that, getting other hero stuff to going on. But one of the biggest moments that ended up happening is that when Superman started questioning the value of this company, why is it worthwhile for these people to do it? It sullies what is heroism if they're getting paid to do these things. But again, they're not the same. Superman doesn't need financial backing. It's like I don't want to mix up the worlds, but if you guys have been watching The Boys, it's pretty much trying to be Vault right now, and they're trying to say that they're helping out the heroes and also saving everybody, but it's their business. They're monopolizing superheroes. But in this thing here with the One-Star Squadron, it's like it's almost getting to that point, right? But where it does really jump ship for them is that there's a hero named Jack-O-Lantern. He's on his way to save a shipwreck off of the coast of where he usually does his his work, and he gets a ding on his app that they want him to do a birthday party gig, and it would end up being double pay because of the fact that it's on a holiday. And because of that, and then because of the expediency that they were like, hey, you have to answer now or you can't do it, we won't give it to you. He ends up leaving the shipwrecked people in the water and goes for the birthday party because he was like, I want that money. And it's hilarious and sad at the same time. I'm like, so you're telling me you couldn't save these people and then still make it to the birthday party? But this is where it comes down to, right? Now we have Superman going back to corporate and all that and telling them, hey, because of this, we're going to do an investigation and we're going to pull our endorsement, and then without that endorsement, corporate is already freaking the hell out because they're like, this is the only thing that legitimizes us to, being able to give this service. And it's true. Like, hey, if you don't have Justice League telling you, hey, yeah, these guys are still grade A superheroes, they just don't do the big things that you guys always look at or make the papers, because again, these are still heroes. They still help where they can, but while that's going on, we have Minuteman still struggling, Gangbuster still just trying to get by. Red Tornado already knows that everyone hates him because they feel like they're not getting what they're due, but he's doing his best. And I definitely really love everything with Red Tornado. We see everything from him going to see his family. He has a daughter, a wife. He's bringing a lot of flashbacks and everything because his first time ever meeting Superman because of the he helped stop a robbery. And that's kind of give him the up and up, and then eventually everything plateaued to where he is now. And then it's like these little moments in between kind of like still make you remember, hey, okay, cool, they were something, right? But you can see they all have, I don't want to say sold out, but they've all kind of had to make a realization that life isn't always about the save, for them at least, because of the fact that they just can't be those guys all the time. They want to be, but they just can't, because for whatever reason, they don't know that obviously Bruce Wayne is Batman and he's a millionaire now. Green Arrow, billionaire, is funding the Justice League and all that kind of stuff. It's like, it was all these little nuances that make the story that much better. Now, while after this point, corporate is now ready to sell the freaking place because they're like jumping ship. Funny enough, they want to try to do the same thing, make layoffs and this and that. First one they want to actually lay off is Power Girl, and they tell Red Tornado to do it because, hilariously enough, they're like, well, why would we want someone so dishonest trying to get you fired on our team still? So they were like, get rid of her and then make a couple extra cuts, and we should be able to get through for a little bit until we sell this thing. Good old Red Tornado doesn't even go to that point, which is because he just couldn't bring himself to do it. And then eventually he ends up, not firing anyone, but Power Girl still gets fired because she wants to call corporate they owe her something, and they tell her no, you didn't hear us and everything like that. Well, first off, he was supposed to fire you, so we're going to do it now. And she's let go. Broken and all that kind of stuff. She storms out. And, that's where, things get very, very interesting, guys. It's some of the coolest stuff I'm going to do, but I think that's real quick. Oh, wow. Awesome. So this is where I'm telling you, right? This is where the fun stuff really hits. Obviously, Red Tornado's trying to throw a bone to Minuteman and everything, sending him all these places and all that kind of stuff, getting all these gigs. Fun stuff right here. Nice little Easter egg. Mark Russell actually ends up making a cameo. He's at the Comic-Con that Minuteman ends up going to. Everything starts off really great until they call him a non-VIP guest. And he flips a shit. So then he just ends up having to get the hell out of get kicked out. He's like almost, unworkable anymore now. So they're telling him, they were like, you know what, you might as well just get on the sales team and so on. And it was just everything's falling over for him and shit like that, right? So it sucks. But Minuteman is Minuteman. It's still one of these, for the most part, he's a D-lister now at this point, right? So we have them going on. Red Tornado's trying to figure out what to do next and everything. Goes back to corporate, tells them, hey, I didn't do what you wanted to do. And they were like, man, all good. We don't give a crap. You know why? Because somebody bought this thing and we're bouncing. And so on and so forth. They end up, just not caring anymore. Now, it sounds typical, right? Corporate America. So one of the things that end up happening, he goes back to the company and all that kind of stuff, and he finds out that, well, he actually walks into the company being on fire. Big one. We're like, holy shit, what happens here? Investigation comes in. We have, now Power Girl as a suspect. They're like, hey, you could have just done this with your heat vision real quick, on top of the fact that you just got fired, so maybe you're a little salty about this, And Power Girl's denying. She doesn't really, care about any of, she doesn't believe that, she should be accused, nor is she, is the issue, right? But it's crazy because it's even her coworkers have said the same thing. They're just like, well, you must have done it. Why did you do it? So on and so forth, but it's heartbreaking just due to the fact that even Power Girl feels like she's nothing at this point because that's all she really was. where we do get a nice little, turnover in her character development in this, that, she ends up realizing that, she is still a hero. She makes a save for at a burning building. She helped out, thing, and that's where her epiphany came back, and she realized that, she is more than just the suit and, working at a corporate office. She has to, be the hero that she is. And it's one of those things that I'm like, it's so subtle, but you know what I mean, because it's like, you think that, oh, these things are going to get fixed and everything, but for them, it doesn't. Even the corporate said, they were like, no, we're not going to rebuild the building. We're going to just pocket the insurance money and go. We told you guys, we're done, and we have nothing to do with it, because now the company is not sold. So now they win out even more. They're like, you know what, shit, we're going to get all this insurance cash and, call it a day. And it's still fucked up. It's so effed up, guys. I can't tell you, I'm like, how much I hated seeing this corporate inside this office having these conversations. Like, there was one for every little moment. We had the the hipster dude with the ponytail that thinks that he's young, but he has so much money that you can't really say shit. We got the eccentric millionaire that he's just like the mind of it all and all that kind of stuff. You have a little bit of everything sprinkled into that office, and it's so nerve-wracking. But we did a great job getting a story that still gave you more than just one person to really hate, because there's so many things here. It's so lifelike that you're like, oh, okay, like, it's not just corporate that I can't stand. I'm like, they're the bad guys. They're the real bad guys. But it's not even as simple as saying Lex Luthor is the bad guy. But who knows if he's like, Lex Luthor is the bad guy? What does he have to do anything besides being a billionaire? Trillion, actually, probably. But this is where the nice little twist comes in. After the fire is put out and all that kind of stuff, Red Tornado goes back to the, see if he can salvage anything, save any, anything that burned down. Minuteman returns. He ends up talking to Red Tornado, and that's where a big reveal hits, right? He tells him that one of the things that Red Tornado sent him on, one of the gigs, and ended up being a little bit more than what it said it was. His appearance was more of a tactical advantage for Lex Luthor himself. So he ends up telling him, he was like, I'm going to try to buy this. He's bribing him a Miraculo so that he could be his inside man. And, it's a little, it's cutthroat, what I mean, corporate America. And, Minuteman did take it, for the first few minutes, but he eventually kind of like swallowed his pride and understood that he was like, you know what, I can't let Lex Luthor take over heroes for you. Like, how would that look? A certified supervillain taking over a hero's company. It's something he would definitely do. Funny enough, Lex already did that and just did that too in one of the recent Batman issues. He ended up taking over Batman Inc. So hilarious, right? And now we have him trying to take over heroes for you, and Minuteman feels that, you know what, I can't let him do that. So his bright idea was to burn down the building. And, obviously, in the long run, it might have not did anything. It might have. But, he even said it. He's like, I wasn't thinking, and this is where I, where my head went. Saddest part that happened, right? Gangbuster is still now, living in fear still. And, he ends up getting into a tussle during his stay at his apartment building. At that point, he ends up having to run away and kind of try to look for something for safety. And he ends up going into the building before Minuteman came in and burned it down. And Gangbuster died in the fire. Oof, that was rough. Like I said, when you guys read this, you're definitely going to feel for him, and on top of everything else, even after I spoiled it for you, it's insane, right? So Minuteman thought he emptied out the whole building. He didn't know anybody got in. No one, even Red Tornado didn't even realize that Gangbuster got there, because he was like, how the hell did he get in? And it turns out that, because we know, obviously, he hid in the broom closet to make sure that he can just feel safe for a little bit because he was getting attacked and everything. And obviously, again, he has PTSD. It's hard. This is where he ended up going. And Minuteman inadvertently killed him. It's a shame. It's definitely a full-on shame. Do that. Now, Mr. Miracle, Minuteman, oh God, sorry. Minuteman is distraught. He didn't want to hurt anybody. He just thought he was trying to do the right thing. And, unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. So, as one last act by Red Tornado, as trying to be a hero, he gives Minuteman all this money to try to go and restart his whole life. But obviously, for an addict, you give somebody that much money, they're not going to do that. But it wasn't also just because he got the money, right? He already had the pills from, Lex Luthor, and, he was already distraught from knowing that he was the reason why Gangbuster was killed, died. He ends up trying to OD. He just takes a whole bunch of Miraculo and all that kind of stuff, and he just wants to end that. And that was some powerful shit right there. He ends up making it, and he's it's one of those things that you're just like, okay, good, I'm glad that he did, but he's still in a bad spot. But little by little, he kind of built himself back up after, even funny enough, seeing his own drug dealer being the person saving him. So it all it circles back from as early as issue 1 to issue number 6. It's really awesome. It's pacing and everything for this book. Through that, he ends up going I think out of country and all that kind of stuff, and tries to make up for all the things that he's been through. And obviously he's clean now. He has a new girlfriend and so on and so forth, if I ever remember reading that part correctly. But he even started a little a food stand to try to just keep himself busy. And but at that point, this is where almost got me choked up. Because of him, Minuteman had a second chance. And that person is Red Tornado. And Red Tornado throughout this whole series struggled with trying to be still good, trying to live up to what he thought, he was supposed to be, and who his family believes he is as well. But, we get a Red Tornado just doing dishes, making enchiladas for his family on every day and all that kind of stuff, just trying to make $1 every so often. And to know that his last act did save someone, he couldn't save everyone, but he did save somebody at the very end of the day. He thought he did the right thing, and for the most part, I think he did. This is a guy that he saw that he needed that second chance, and he gave it to him. I thought it was touching. It was a beautiful ending, and I think it just goes to show you, whether you're Superman or even the Heckler, when it comes to doing the right thing, that's what makes you a hero. But guys, that's what I got today. That was my catch-up episode, One-Star Squadron. Go check it out. You might even find it as a trade already. But by Mark Russell, as I said, writer, artist Steve Lieber, and Steve Pugh did all the covers. Beautiful story. Definitely not a 1 star in my book. Definitely 5 stars. Great story. Nice little change of pace. Again, 6 issues. Can't go wrong with it. If you guys like this, guy, remember to subscribe. Hit us up on Patreon. Give us a little bit. And don't forget to comment. All that fun stuff for us, man. We would really appreciate all the help that you guys can give. But I had fun with this episode. Hope you guys did too. With that, thank you. Peace.